and genetically modify what you're tasting. Don't need that cottage promise, so now you live up in your mom's basement. Redesign time so your mind is always wasted. Programmed to crave the basics. Keep the beta in stasis. Pay the state, kid. You're in debt for being born. Messengers are mourn, just the price for being warned. Don't be alarmed, disconnect from their machinations. Stop subscribing to the folly of own nations. Bone breaking ain't the answer, cause they seek the ownership of souls. Spread the seeds and watch them grow. Break the chains of control. Break the chains of control.
So we, eternal balance of all that is good, true, and beautiful, friends. Hopefully you can hear me okay. This is your, what is it, Tuesday night edition of Rogue Ways. I was not even going to do a show tonight because we're doing one tomorrow night, and it's going to be rad. It's going to be Derek, the Night Stalker Murphy, is going to be with us. We have Jay Ritchie, and that trio seems to be pretty rad, and we are going to talk about all of the latest synchro mystic shit that Derek has tracked down in popular media, as well as some shit that Jay has been finding, and we've got some astrological shit tied in with it. It's a pretty cool picture we're going to paint of the modern moment and the zeitgeist that is today, so tune in for that tomorrow. We're doing a special Wednesday edition of Rogue, and it's going to be pretty rad, so check it out. And but because I usually do a Tuesday night episode, I'm just here to do some random shit with y'all. So if you want to stick around for some fun, we're going to do a little bit with tarot, a little bit with symbolism, and a little bit of poetry and some just random shit. So what's up, Sue Finelli in the house? Sue Finelli with the numbers all day, every day with the repeating numbers. It's rad. We got the digital apparition, that sexy dude. We got Biggie Smollett, the man with the plan, best supporter of the show. We've got Jeff Green in the house. Who else do we have? Those are the peeps that have said what's up so far. If you're on Facebook, I actually can get your messages now, but I can't write back to you. So I can speak back to you if I see it, you know, but that's just how it is. So if you want to jump on YouTube or DLive, there's way more people on YouTube usually. That's where the party is at in general. Dude, today has been so hot. Right now, I think in the room I'm sitting in, it's 90 something probably. It's crazy. And I don't know if you've been paying attention, but I have little baby chickens, and they're not really babies anymore. They're teenagers. They're like 6 weeks old, a little over 6 weeks old. I got ice water today. I can't even pretend to drink something out of my mug. This shit is hot. But these chickens are getting old, and you know, we had them in the brooder all this time, and we like started to bring them outside when it was warm enough and play with them, and they got used to being outside during the day. And then last night was the big night. We put them outside in their fully secured kingdom of a coop. It's fucking badass. We've got locks on that thing. We've got like the thick wire. It's stapled like 60 billion times, and I'm pretty sure nothing's getting in there. But it was still hard. It was hard to leave my little babies outside all night because they weren't used to it. They didn't know what was going on. They're used to being brought inside every night and put in the brooder, and so they were like really confused as darkness started to set, and they could clearly see we were just standing there and not getting them out of the brooder, and they were crying and screaming, and I was like, oh my god. Like, I could barely handle this as a chicken mom. I can't imagine how you people who are human moms handle like letting your children go do new things, or handle them being scared to try new things or whatever. Like, I just wanted to like get them and like cuddle them and be like, it's gonna be okay, and protect them. But I knew it was good for them to get out and be outside all night, so I left them anyway. I abandoned my babies to the terrifying darkness of the night, and they survived all night long. And this morning they were there, they were happy, and they had forgotten that they were so terrified the night before, as far as I could tell, and they did not hate me, which was nice. So my babies made a big step, and now they're out. So 24/7, they're out of the brooder. They did it. They graduated. So that's my boring chicken story. I'll try not to regale you with too many more of those. We got Chad Clemens in the house saying what's up. Yo, Chad is in the house. So yeah, my babies are out. We just built them a chicken tractor today, so it's way bigger than a chicken tractor for two chickens should ever be. It's like 8 feet long and 4 feet wide, and it's fucking monstrosity. But it's pretty light, and we did a pretty good job. It looks like a meth lab. But for people who don't have like real tools or a shop or anything like that, like it's pretty rad. So I might show you guys some pictures of that eventually, but today we barely got it done. And like I said, it's like 90 degrees here. So we've been working all day in the sun, and taking a cold shower was the best moment of my life. It's cooler now. Things are better now. And so that's my day. That's what's going on. I've been working a shit ton lately. I don't know if you knew that about me, but fuck, it was basically like 12-hour days, but it's really easy. It's just, and I didn't actually work the whole 12 hours, but it was a lot of back and forth and driving around, and basically took up all day every day for the past few weeks. I had my first day off on Sunday. It was so nice. Got to hang out, do a barbecue with family like I already think I told you about on Sunday. And I'm going to work again tomorrow and probably a few more days over the next month or so with these people, but less than it had been. So that'll be nice to have a little break and get back to not working. I like that. No, I'm always working. I'm always working somehow. But this was, a more traditional job. So work is for suckers. That's right. It's just like, I was told some really good advice by the Jim Chesnar of the Bach Saga. Whatever we think of the Bach Saga or Jim, that advice was good. And the advice was, work as little as possible and do what you love, because you're going to die someday. So, that's how I feel nowadays. And I'm sticking to that story as much as I can. I keep wanting to go back to teaching and trying to go back to teaching, but dude, with the shit that they're gonna pull, I was just talking to a teacher. My good friend is still teaching, well, a bunch of them, but one really good friend is still teaching, and we are openly able to talk about all the chaos, without pretending or without hiding our beliefs or whatever. And so he was telling me about the social distancing that they're going to have in effect when they go back to school in September, if it even happens, if they're even allowed to have kids in the school for, this very minor cold that has killed almost no one. And then they're going to have the desks 6 feet apart. And he's like, I don't even know how to have, like, they're not giving anyone any guidance of like how to have students in the rooms, but 6 feet apart. Like, it was already hard to get 30 kids in a room. You're definitely not going to do it with social distancing. So I don't know. They're going to hire a bunch more teachers, if they're going to try to get, half the kids to do online education or what, but it sounds like a fucking shit show, and I'm super glad that I'm not a part of it, because I would not be able to pretend. I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that in my classroom. If you need to force me to, then you're probably going to have to fire me or arrest me, because that's not going to happen. But I understand, that some people are going to have to go along with it, and that's their job. And it's not a bad thing, because we need people to stay in education who can try to wake kids up to how fucking horrifying all of that is. But if you know me, you know that I can't really keep my mouth shut. So it's a good thing I got out. Anyway, this is CoreySharman.com, rogueways.org. I've been getting some really nice feedback lately of people who are like, wow, I didn't realize you had so much content on your site and such, thoughtful and well-crafted content. And that has been really nice to hear. I don't usually, over the past, 8 years or however long I've had this site in its various versions, I don't usually get a lot of traffic, and I don't usually get a lot of attention for it, but it is basically my repository of my own writing. I am a writer first and foremost, before I'm a teacher, before I'm a podcast show host, before I'm anything else. I've been a writer, so there's mostly writing on here, essays, poetry, and all kinds of stuff. However, it does link to my Subscribestar. It does link to some old audio versions of Rogueways that are still hosted on the site, just because why take them off? They were already there before the site broke and stopped letting me upload audio, and no one, even professional people who do this, can fix it, of course. And so I just left it there as a testament to the bullshit, and also a place where you can poke around if you'd like to. I think it stops at season 2, episode 20 or something like that. I don't know. You can also check out my published works. I've got 3 books out so far. 1 more is finished and just in the final editing process and coming to you as soon as possible. You know how life goes. But Sine Curve of Aeons is the first in that trilogy. The sequel of which I was just describing is going to come out any second. Sine Curve is an awesome fictional novel. It is genre bending. It is set in a time and a place which seem very foreign to us. It is about basically the Yuga cycles of, the ascension up into the Golden Age and the descent back out down into the Dark Age, and how humans straggle through that and try to find some sort of progress throughout that cycle that does not end. You can also get it in hardcover. You can get A Gypsy on the Res. This is my memoir about a time I spent teaching on a Native American reservation. It is hilarious and also deeply emotional. And you can grab Mutable Realia, my collection of poems. I am going to put together another poetry collection as well as soon as I get done with the sequel to Sine Curve of Aeons, which is called Earth, A Trough in Time. And that is going to drop any day now. It's coming soon. I was on fire, dude. I was on fire. And I was going to get that book done super quick. And then I got that job where I was working like 12 hours a day. So you know how shit goes. Let's check back in with the chat. See what's going on with you guys. We got Hugs Swole. Are you a fan of student-teacher relationships? Serious question. I'm a real big fan of teacher-student relationships. You cannot teach people without having a relationship with them. In fact, there is something people call the 3 R's, and it starts, and this is for teachers. You have relationship, you have rigor, and you have, oh my god, I forgot the third one. Fuck, I forgot. Well, I'll have to tell you another day, or you can look it up perhaps. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of relationships with teachers. However, I think you're probably talking about inappropriate relationships with students. Am I a fan of them? No, I think they're inappropriate. I don't think people should use their power to create relationships with young people who are not yet, capable of really determining what life is all about. I worked with a lot of teachers who seemed to like to abuse their power and mistreat. Mostly it was male teachers that seemed to mistreat female students who, stunningly, but also it makes sense, didn't seem to understand what was happening and seemed to just sort of go along with it and play nice, which is how you get killed by serial killers. So it's a horrible thing to reinforce in a classroom setting, but that power dynamic can be really fucked up, and a lot of teachers can abuse it and misuse it. So if that's what you're talking about, no, I'm not a fan of that at all. I think people should probably treat each other like human beings and not, misuse their power. Yeah, what's up, Eerie Fairy? You write spoken word. Oh, cool. I don't even know if I write spoken word or not, but I write, and sometimes I speak it aloud, and I think that's spoken word. What's up? Howie Dunn is in the house. Awesome. Thank you for liking and sharing, Eerie Fairy. I really appreciate that. I seriously have people ask me, can I share your videos? And I'm like, yeah, please do. I mean, that's the point. If you like it, please share it. If you like what I write, please share that. If you like anything I ever say or do, share it. Like, that's awesome. I hope so. I hope more people do that. That would be awesome. But I do also do tarot readings. I do use a deck, which is awesome. It draws on all kinds of historical, ethnic, backgrounds and cultures. There's all sorts of different religions represented in this same one single deck. There's the I Ching. There's all kinds of symbolism, astrology, just so much is in this deck. It's a really rich and stunning deck. I love it. I've been using it for about 26 years. That I've been using this specific deck and doing reading. So I am, I have my ways. I have some skill with it that I bring, and that is why I like to offer it to people who are searching for something. If you would like a tarot reading, then you can either gift me through PayPal, or you can also now purchase it through the shop, because some people just weren't really comfortable with the gifting process. But I do prefer that you use the PayPal link and gift me, which for whatever size reading you like, and then I set that up with you, and we can do that via Zoom, Skype, just over the phone. I can record it ahead of time and just send it to you. Somebody asked me before, how could we do it, not one-on-one? I can always just record it and send it to you. I can also not record anything, do the reading, take a picture of it, and do my written description, which I offer everyone every single reading anyway, and send you that. It's just whatever works, we'll make it happen. So check that out. You can check out the link to the Eyes Open group on Facebook. We don't just let anyone in, and if you're a shithead, you quickly get kicked out, because we are a very eclectic and very fair-minded and very friendly group of people, and we also don't put up with bullshit. If you came to be rude, you'll go. I never show anyone this. This is my collection of graffiti from around the world. This isn't even everything, but I tend to take a lot of pictures of graffiti in every country I go to There's no context. I don't tell you which country it's in, but you are welcome to go check it out. This is from Europe, Asia, South America, all over the place. And there's the shop. The shop, you can get all kinds of things. There's Rogue merch with shirts and sweatshirts and, like, you know, phone cases and stuff. There's the Orgonite. I still got 7 pendants left. They're one of a kind orgone accumulators that I've created for you to wear all day, every day, so you can take it with you wherever you go. I have some irreverent merch. People have actually been liking this and buying it, which makes me really happy. These are ideas that have come from other people who don't have like a store and, you know, a way to create shirts. So we just throw it together and put it up here, you know, and they're fun. Science is not dogma, obviously, although not everyone knows it. And I survived the coronavirus and all I got was this stupid police state. Those are the 2 shirts we have so far. If you have an idea to throw up in irreverent merch, let me know. These shirts make like $1 or $2 every time one sells, so it is a way to support me, but it's not like a huge moneymaker. But it might be fun to see some shit in there that you would like to see. So let me know if you want to see anything else in there that's not in there. We have classes and tarot, and this is my favorite place in the shop. You can buy classes that I teach. I do teach about finding our spiritual allies, if that's something that you have been wondering about and you're not sure about. I do teach psycho-spiritual protection, which I actually require as a prerequisite to finding spiritual allies, unless you can, you know, tell me about how you do psycho-spiritual protection for yourself. I do offer one-on-one guidance sessions for people who do want to work something out but don't really want to use tarot as a sort of medium to get answers and make progress, and so that's available to you as well. It's a little bit cheaper than the tarot reading, but it is a nice option for people. If you have done multiple readings with me, or even just one, honestly, 10-card reading, and you want to do more, but you want it to be very, very specific, and we both now already understand sort of one of the situations in your life that you want really specific answers about, I do designer tarot readings in which I basically figure out what you want to know, and I create a shape based on sacred symbolism that will best get to what we want to see and possibly manifest, and then we go from there. And it's the same exact price as the 10-card reading, but, you know, like I said, we have to have done a 10-card reading first to get there, so it's a prerequisite again. And again, right now I have 3, I think, books left. Phytalis, Sine Curve of Aeons, that's that first book in the trilogy, the second of which is about to drop, and this is the cheapest it's ever been and the cheapest it's ever going to be. It's $10 shipped to you anywhere in the United States with an insignia, with an inscription from me, as well as some Rogueway stickers sent to you. And that's just because those are the few I have left, and, you know, the next book is dropping, so I'm going to start pushing that book instead. So I think it went up to $22 in the Amazon store. So this is like plus tax, plus shipping. So this is maybe even like a $17 like savings for you. And let me show you why, just before you wonder why the fuck would a book be 22 pages. This book is hella thick. It's like a Bible. It's long. It's a long, good story. You don't want it to end though, so it's nice. But yeah, Amazon, of course, ups their prices sometimes for paper, printing paper. And so that's that. Also, I always appreciate people who support me on Subscribestar, especially, and even at the $1 level. I get that not everyone has money, but they've been watching Rogueways for a while and want to give back for where they found value. So I appreciate each and every one of you. You also, if you want to check it out, there's a 1-day trust period, so you can just come in and see everything for free and see the types of stuff you get. There's so much content here. It's probably like too much. But that is there for you if you want to find a way to support Rogueways more consistently. A monthly subscription might be for you, and I appreciate you all. Checking in with the chat. We have Eyes Open is where it's at. That's right. I try not to pimp it too much because I like it. Even once it hit like 500, like things changed. I liked it a lot when it was smaller. I feel like less people see more of the content in there. Like, you know, it's harder to find stuff, and, you know, Facebook fucks everyone anyway. It's like hard to see shit, but yeah. You need stickers too. Yeah, buy a book, Howie. You'll get stickers, and it's seriously, I'm like losing money on this shit. I literally am losing multiple dollars every time someone buys one of those, but I just want to get it out there if people want it. And you get stickers, and you get an inscription, so it's cool. So I figured I would show you this little piece that I wrote today. This is just reflecting all the shit that I am going through myself at the moment. Maybe you can relate. So I'm just going to read you this a bit. I've never even read this once out loud, so you're the first ever performance of They Said Get Out the Way in the history of the world, just for you guys here tonight on Rogue Ways. So here we go. They said, "Get out the way," while I pointed at the cliff looming ahead. I dredged up from depths of patience like an ancient river sludging the depths of the deepest ocean trenches, all resolve built thick from kicking shins on tree trunks heavy with burls of torn up. Hatred turned to radiant love. Indignance turned to absorbed reflections. Defeat turned to strong resolve. Let my patience, born of chaotic terror, soothed so many nights ago in fetal curls of wailing tear-streaked fury and abandon, and at last, absolution. Dig down deep through walls of concrete mud like clay, blocking purchase into the supple earth of relenting presence, and there sleeps peace. My mother waited, void-like in never-ending matrix of empty choice. And the roots I planted in that depth imploded through portaled unity into a father's sky full and germinating radiant golden showers of ultimate emanation that cannot be wielded, nor directed, nor forced, nor intended, nor manifested, and can only be held as is, as one, as I am. In every urge we push a form forth into the world, we exercise a muscle never meant to unfurl. When we let go that desire, allowing atrophic entropy's decay to eat away our every urge, thought, feeling, and action, that hollow bone lifts us into space, the only one in which we exist, lifts us high into the moment, the only one that persists, and through the form made solid, ossified, and sure. In the emptiness between, left clear and whole, comes all that ever was and all that ever could be. And then there was never any division, duality, push, resistance, or even cliff at all. That's what came out of me today. 'Cause I get so fucking sick of people being so fucking set in their dualistic division. And I feel like I've been fighting it my whole fucking life. And I eventually have to remember that you can't fucking fight it. And you can only be this empty channel for people to fucking reflect themselves in. And remember that we're far past all this bullshit and we exist in the infinite only. And all these fucking games are so boring. I'm so bored with them. I'm so sick of them. Thank you, Lori Wentz. What's up, Lori Wentz? It's good to see you here. I'm glad that resonated with some of you. I don't often feel moved to read poems. I honestly anymore don't really feel moved that often to write them, but every once in a while they just come pouring out. And this one was one. So thank you very much. I'm glad you guys enjoyed that. First ever, possibly only ever, live reading of that poem. I don't really do poetry readings anymore because people are so fucking egotistical and horrible. It's like such a bad vibe. I don't know if you guys have ever been to one. They can be cool. The ones I used to go to would be pretty cool, but I don't know. At some point, like, people showed up who just like had little dick syndrome or something, and it just became like a fucking contest. And I was like, I thought this was supposed to be like a sharing and a discussion, but maybe I'm a pansy bitch. Who knows? I don't know. But that was all I wanted to show you that was online, at least for now. But I did want to, like I said, I was thinking it'd be fun if anybody has like a random issue question or subject that they want to do like a quick tarot shot about. I thought it'd be fun to pull like a card or two on a given question or topic if you have one. So if you're listening and you're thinking of something, let me know what that might be, and we can check it out. Chad was clapping his fingers, or snapping his fingers. That's awesome. We're going back in time. It'd be cool to like create, you know, a real physical place where people actually came together to do things like this. But dude, it's so hard to find a space that's actually good for a price that makes sense, you know, and then to like build the community that will actually show up in person, because everyone's like used to doing everything digitally and online now that there's not even as much that really happens anyway. We've like really are losing community at an alarming rate and have been for decades. So, but I'm no pansy bitch. Sometimes I am when my chickens are screaming and I'm like, oh yeah, just bring them inside, cuddle with them all night long. But I did it. What's up, Lacey Mariposa? Better Nate than Lever. That's right. So while you guys are thinking of things that you would like to get possible little insights on, you know, could be anything. Modern events. It could be random questions. You know, whatever you want. I'm going to do a symbolism shot from this book. I think I've showed you guys this book before. I keep this crappy cover on it just because even though it's a hardcover, I kind of like the historic value of this book, you know, just like I like the historic value of most things and don't think they should be ripped down for anything, personally. I don't know though, man. If I was at there's like those pedophile statues that are up in fucking, God, where are they? Like the Netherlands or something? And they're like huge naked men like smashing babies on the ground and like naked kids. Or I don't know. It's fucking weird. Maybe those I'd take down, but even then, I don't think I would. I think I'd put up like like plaques in the entrance to it, and just like they do with the fucking Holocaust, you know, the concentration camps that you can still go to. They just put up signs that are like, "This is an atrocity. Now go check it out." Like there's a reason we keep things around, even if they're bad. I don't know why nobody brings that shit up. We're just not supposed to talk about it, I guess. Chad. I don't know. I'm not an astrologer, Chad. I'm sorry. But if you want me to pick a random card about you and who you are, we could do that. But I don't know if that's what you meant, so I'll wait and see. So I just opened this to page 111. Sue will appreciate that. Just random. I just randomly opened it to that page. And 111 happens to be the page which Gemini is on, which is the page of the twins, right? Or the Gemini is the twins. So we'll read about Gemini right now, even though Chad just told me that he might be a Pisces. I don't know. I don't even know what February is. It's definitely not Gemini, though. Kind of embarrassed and serious. I just don't know. I'm not an astrologer. I'm not good with that shit at all. Somebody would have to go look it up. So we'll go look it up. Type in February 21st, 1969 and see. What's up, Gregory May? Nice to see you. But seriously, Chad, if you have a question about you, I can do that. I just don't know if that's what you wanted me to do or if you wanted me to like tell you your sign, which I don't know. So, Gemini. It gives us the symbol, obviously. The symbol of the twins, but it's interesting that it's a box as well. We'll read about it. As the third sign of the zodiac, these heavenly twins take on the general significance of all symbolic twins, in that they are both divine and mortal, black and white. So they are duality. We were just talking about duality. What a thematic coincidence, if you believe in those. Howie says, reminds me of your Facebook post earlier with the Georgia Play Godstones. Yeah, I don't want to rip those down either. It's a good point. I think why rip it down? Just put some additional things nearby that explains that like humans aren't actually like this. This is a crazy shit that went on, and here's the fucking context for it, so we can all learn from it. We're capable of learning even from bad things. Anyway, Gemini, the dual, black and white, divine and mortal. But the Gemini acquire the additional significance of a characteristic phase of the cosmic process as symbolized in the Wheel of Transformations. Really? So like the Wheel of, why can't I remember what it's called? Wheel of Chaos, basically, in the tarot. The moment, that is to say, in which pure creative force is severed into two parts, in such a way that one side of the dualism is elevated, but the other descends into the multiplicity characteristics of phenomena. This reminds me of God, right? This is like the story of Gaia or whatever. Sophia. She's like in this pure, immortal, unending, eternal sort of state, and then she descends into physicality and becomes this like multiplicity and therefore like insane. Interesting. This is Gemini that we're reading about. The pillars of Hermes, or those of Hercules, or the so-called Jachin and Boaz columns of the Kabbalah, are all symbols deriving from the great myth of the Gemini. Did you know that? I didn't really think about that. Boaz and Jachin, or whatever, are the two columns of the Kabbalah, I guess they call it here, and or the Freemasons is what most people would probably be more familiar with. I didn't know that they were derived from Gemini. Very interesting. It makes sense. Black and white. Duality. God and the profane, right? Where was I? In the zodiacal symbolism, the third sign is that of the objectivized and reflected intellect. Objectivized and reflected intellect. That also goes back to that like high level, eternal state of sort of Godhead, and then the physical state of multiplicity. Interesting. We've got that objectivized and reflected intellect. Marius Schneider has made a profound study of the Gemini myth in megalithic culture, showing that it has two tendencies, one white and the other black. One creates, the other destroys. Both these characteristics are indicated by the arms of each of the twins, which in landscape symbolism are identical with the river of youth and the river of death. The Gemini represent creative nature and created nature. Again, that like God and created, like creator and created. Interesting. I love reading about random shit. I hope you're enjoying this too. And this duality is sometimes illustrated in tales by a being that wears a mask or by a protean being capable of turning into a giant, a man, or an animal. In medicinal rites, the Gemini, by virtue of their double but constant nature, are both the doctor and, more particularly, the invalid, as is borne out in legend and in myth. The Parsifal story, for example. At times, two different conceptions of the Gemini can be distinguished. As in the parallel myth of the primordial and androgynous being. So we got, wow, Gemini is connecting with that androgyny obsession as well. Very interesting. The heavenly twin, expressive of opposites, fused together and integrated into oneness, represented by the spherical or perfect being, and the earthly twin, displaying the split, as in two-headed Janus or triform Hecate, that is, opposite in conflict or at least in dissidence. Opposite in conflict or at least in dissidence. The opposites, though, are fused together. It's weird. It's like both the duality and the duality joined together. It's like in itself, it's like a trinity as well, but it's also dual in two ways. I'm just like going off here and you guys are like, whatever. There is a third aspect, which is that of the individuation or splitting of the double being. But this has to do with the existential order and not the mythic. As a result of the dynamic tendencies of all contradictions, which tends toward black, night seeks to become day, the evil man aspires to goodness, life leads to death. The world of phenomena becomes a system of perpetual inversions, illustrated, for example, in the hourglass, which turns upon its own axis in order to maintain its inner movement. That of the sand passing through the center aperture, the focal point of its inversion. The Gemini, in essence a symbol of opposites, is, in its dynamic aspect, then, a symbol of inversion. Weird. Inversion. Gemini. I never thought of Gemini as a symbol of inversion. It's so interesting that they have chosen that for the towers and for a lot of their symbolism, black and white, and it's all kind of wrapped up in this Gemini aspect when we know that their favorite game is to invert everything. Very interesting. According to the megalithic conception, and here we are following Schneider, again, the mountain of Mars or Janus, which rises up as a mandorla. What is a mandorla? Of the Gemini is the locale of inversion, the mountain of death and resurrection. The mandorla is another sign of inversion and of interlinking, for it is formed by the intersection of the circle of earth with the circle of heaven. Wow. We're going to look up at Mandorla before we continue. Hopefully you don't mind. Let me just grab a bookmark. What's up, DS is in the house. Whose birthday is it? Oh, there we go. Lacey knew the answer. Chad's in Aquarius. No, cusp of Aquarius and Pisces. Okay, Aquarius. I don't know which one you are. Aquarius, Pisces. Yeah, I love Geminis because they're like Jekyll and Hyde. They're very dynamic people. They can be all sorts of things at once, and I like dynamism and constant change. It's one of my favorite things. So I tend to be really close with a lot of Geminis. I got a lot of Geminis in my inner circle. Anyway, I think it's Airy Fairy's birthday. Happy birthday, Airy Fairy! Gotta love them Schneiders. That's right, Steve. Nice to see you, Steve. And you're a Gemini, Steve? Wow, you came in at the perfect time to learn about this. So let me see if I can find what a Mandorla is and show us about Mandorlas so we can understand what that sentence was saying before we go on. Let me see. So we've got this here. So we've got Mandorla. A mandorla is an almond-shaped areola, not areola. We're not talking about nipples. We're talking about this shape here. It's just like the Vesca Pisces. That's a mandorla. Interesting. Now we know the name of that shape. Maybe you already knew. I definitely did not know. An iconographic frame that surrounds a totality of an iconographic figure. It is usually synonymous with Vesca Pisces. And we were just talking about Pisces in the chat too. Now I'm starting to trip out. Everything is connected all of the time. It is usually synonymous with Vesca, a lens shape. Oh, I already said that. Mandorlas surround the figures of Jesus Christ and the Virgin Mary in traditional Christian iconography. That is fascinating. Almonds are mandorlas. What's this random picture tell us? Sometimes in our individual self and within our worn-out society self, there is no answer to conflict. But there is a way to stand within the center of the opposing forces. Wow, this is a beautiful message that we have stumbled upon. Let me move my picture so you can read the other side too. Conflict creates tremendous energy. If we leave out judgment, then that energy can become a vibration of light. Not always a single light, but many lights, sending out a vibration that is love. Wow, I love this. I'm going to figure out who Carolyn Carey is and perhaps ask her on the show. I love synchronicity and randomness. So this is all mandorlas, traditionally surrounding iconic beings in iconic artwork, and also the Vesca. Vesca and mandorla are synonymous. And here is what they were just talking about. They literally were just talking about this in the mandorla. They said the circle of heaven and the circle of earth combine to make the mandorla. Dude, life is rad. Don't you guys like to learn? I hope so. I hope you're here because you like to learn. So that's the mandorla. Let's see if there's anything else that jumps out on us before we hop back to the... Oh, that's a beautiful piece of art. It's very tiny though. Ooh, double mandorla. What? Mandorla is the eye of the soul. I have a whole fucking writing on the site here that is about mandorlas, and I didn't even know it. And so I want to find it and just show you in case you are interested in reading it. I think if I click on dreams, I can find it. Yeah. The Wisdom of Dreams. This is also an audio recording you can find on, shoot, Austin Beach would know. We put it somewhere. But if you want to just read it, here it is. It's crazily, it connects with Vesca Pisces and the mandorla that we are talking about now. Let me continue my reading. Here, let's leave it on the double mandorla. Oh, wait. You couldn't open the double mandorla? You. I just want this image. I'm just going to leave it there. You guys can see it. All right, continuing. Let's reread the part about the mandorla and see if we can understand it. Where'd you go, mandorla? Oh, it was not even on the right page. Okay. A symbol of opposites. All right, so this is what they had said. This is where Mandorla came up. According to the megalithic conception, and here we are following Schneider, Steve Schneider. No, I don't know which Schneider. The mountain of Mars, or Janus, which rises up as a mandorla of the Gemini, is the locale of inversion. The mountain of Mars, which rises up as a mandorla of the Gemini, is the locale of inversion. Dude, we could probably unpack this statement for years. What? And inversion is capitalized too. This book is a trip. The mountain of death and resurrection. The mandorla is another sign of inversion and of interlinking, for it is formed by the intersection of the circle of earth with the circle of heaven, which we saw here. So that center area is the inversion. Weird. That's basically where we are as humans, right? We're right in between heaven and earth. We are in the vesica of inversion, the mandorla. It says this mountain has two peaks, which makes sense, right? It literally has two peaks, like this point here and this point here. And every symbol or sign alluding to this situation of inversion is marked by duality or by twin heads. Two-headed eagles and cocks are also to be found in this context, the general symbolism of which is that of alternating contradiction, positive and negative, low and high-pitched. All these are symbols of the harmonious ambiguity of thesis and antithesis, paradise and inferno, love and hate, peace and war, birth and death, praise and insult, clarity and obscurity, scorching rocks and swamps, surrounding the fountains and waters of salvation. Wow. This is all like super middle path, which if you don't know me is like my specific brand of spirituality. You know, where you bring the two opposites together, and that's your middle ground, and that's where we exist really in reality, and we just have to remember it to find like the best path forward in my understanding of things. Here, gay matters are discussed in grave tones, and the most tragic events are joked about. If this cosmic situation were worked out in psychological terms, it would mean that the zone of contradiction would become the threshold of unifying and unified mysticism. This would explain the abundance of contradictory epithets in the most sublime poetry and the extraordinary richness of paradox in the deepest thinkers such as Lao Tse. My favorite quote, all about the middle path, comes from him. Also corresponding to the mystery of the Gemini is the morphological fact that in every individual object there are two formal components, one varying, the other unvarying. In other words, one of its faces bespeaks its individuality, and the other links it with its species. Wow. That was fucking rad. Thanks, book. That's this symbols book, by the way. Which something just fell out of. Which makes me intrigued. Let's go look at what fell out of the book. What the fuck? You guys, this isn't even... Oh, it's Stephanie? I don't know what just happened. I'm not sure if this was in the book when I bought it, because I bought it from a used bookstore, or if this is Stephanie, my friend. I am really not sure, but I just found this in there, the Essential Healing Den. I think it's backwards for you. And it's a Reiki card. And it says, heal yourself in wholeness, which you can't see because at some point I inverted my camera. That's fucking cool. So that's the message. Heal yourself in wholeness. That actually like corresponds exactly to what we were just talking about, the two opposing sides and bringing them together to create one. And it also is exactly about the poem I read you at the beginning of the show. And I didn't even plan this shit. This is just how shit works out. So if no one has a specific thing they want to, tomorrow is Eerie Fairy's birthday. Happy birthday tomorrow. If no one has a specific thing they want me to pull a card about, I'm just going to pull a card to see how it connects with the shit we've been talking about, because I bet it connects perfectly, as things do. The Mandorla effect. Ha ha ha. Nice one. Kathy Smith is in the house. What's up, Kathy? And Gordon Hamill. I don't know. I forget if I say hi to people sometimes. So some people get 2 shout outs, and that's just how it goes. So what's up, Gordon? Rad shit for sure. Wow, yeah. Mandorlas, Gemini, the circle of heaven and earth combining to create the Vesca Pisces. The poem that was not planned to be corresponding with all of that. The Reiki from Stephanie that fell out of the book, which I'm not even sure if that's Stephanie, or I think it's my friend Stephanie. I don't know how it got in that book, but it's still funny. And it says, heal yourself in wholeness, which is a perfect message for connecting all of those things together. So let's pull out a card that can let's just ask to deepen our understanding or experience in this set of synchronicities we've just had. And let's see what happens with that. I feel like it connects. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out which card. There we go. I feel like it connects with the moment as well, because we're so divided right now as a people, as a nation, as communities, and we find that division entrancing, and we are going to the far ends of the Mandorla, and we're forgetting we already exist in the union of heaven and earth, and when we like exist at those far points, I mean, all we're doing is creating that division, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, right? And even as the Gemini description just pointed out, sometimes you need those like super opposing conflicts in order to find that center point in that middle, in that unity in them. So maybe that's all this really is about, is that we go to as far away, far apart as we can, and as much violent conflict as we can, as much energy as we can, and then we snap back together. And maybe in that snapping back together, we find even more progress, or whatever you want to call it, than we ever have before. So let's play it that way in our minds and hope that that is the way. Earth is heaven and hell in one. It's kind of the same, right? It's like heaven and earth in the center. If hell is this right now, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, honestly, like hell, if hell is a response to sort of karma, cause and effect, and you sort of have to like pay back your debts or whatever, it would make sense that this is the way you do it. By living this physical life, having to go step by step and like forget things and have to learn them all over again. But let's see what card I pulled. Oh shit. This is the Devil. It is the 15th card. It is the major arcana. You can see, if anybody is good with Hebrew letters, tell me what that is and what it means. That'd be cool. You can see we have our rune here, and I think that's the death rune. Don't quote me on it, but it could be. And we also have down in the bottom here our astrological symbol, which I've been getting better at them, but I can't remember which one that is. Is it Jupiter? Somebody tell me if you know. But the card of the Devil, it's not actually as bad as it seems, or it doesn't have to be. So we'll think about it, and we'll see how it seems to us in this moment for this specific question we asked, which was to add sort of a clarifying maybe connection to all the little threads we've been pulling in this episode so far. But I want to point out some of the symbolism here. So we've got, of course, our goat, sort of sheep guy. You know, goats are often associated with the devil. It looks kind of sheepish to me, however, I'm going to say. And so I think part of that is this, like, you know, idea that the sheep follows the herd and has the, what's the word? The sort of desire to, the temptation to follow the herd. It's easier that way. So I think that's why in this deck they kind of made it a little bit sheep-like. Goats are a little bit more strong-headed, and they're like, fuck you, I do what I want. And this card is more about temptation and going the easy route than it is about being hard-headed. So I can see why they made it a little bit more sheep-like rather than goat-like, because they're not calling on the symbolism of the devil as this like evil force that's going to come in and like ensnare you and trap you and like hurt you or whatever. It's more calling on the symbolism of this idea that like, hey, when it's really easy to go a certain way and you're tempted to do something that that might be like cutting corners or might be like, I kind of know this is wrong, but fuck it, it's like easier and better for me, so whatever. Like, those are the sort of aspects of the devil that this card calls on. There is something interesting about him. He does have his third eye wide open. So there's something in here that kind of know what you're doing when you're being tempted and you're going down that easy route that's not necessarily good for everyone. You usually know that you're doing that, right? We also have the snake. Obviously, the snake tempted Eve, whatever. But the snake also does represent wisdom and knowledge, and sort of being able to sneak by with wisdom and knowledge and craftiness, maybe. And so all of these ideas are sort of caught up in this card. And the suggestion would be to be very, very aware of those sneaky things that come in and lure you out or lure you into something that you otherwise might know better. Your third eye is open. You understand, and there's also this sort of thing, like, just like the snake is like, hey, there's something good over here, like, we can offer you something, like, this is what you want, right? Isn't this what you want? And that little third eye open also has that sort of aspect of like, we get it, we know what you want, we know exactly how to get you there. So we could look at this in so many ways. This could be kind of like the forces right now that are manipulating our society into doing these huge opposing, conflicting moves and polarizing themselves so much because it's so much easier to go that way, right? And they are probably banking on the vast energy that is created. Just, they play this game all the time. They know how to make us just polarize in this duality, and then when we snap back together, that's when they reform us into what they want in their image of us, not what we wanted, right? Because we're not being there holding this like space of solidity, like the poem I read earlier in the show suggests that we should, if we want to actually channel that energy into this plane. We're not doing that when we're being polarized, right? And we're not doing that when we're being allowed to snap back together to a center that we didn't choose for ourselves. They know that game very, very well. And it's very, very easy for them to pull us into things we don't want when they're offering things like this unemployment that everyone's getting that's going to last now until like December. And it's like not even just normal unemployment. Like, it's a bonus on top of it. If you get this unemployment that they're offering people, you get a bonus on top of it. So you get more money even probably than you were making already. So a bunch of people aren't going back to work. We all know that this is happening. Well, now they're going to like possibly extend that through December, even though like there's not even any reason for us to be shut down at all in any state anywhere right now. Right? There's no reason for that. It's over. Like, there's nobody dying. Even in all the numbers that we got, it was less than 1% to begin with. Like, nothing is happening, but they're still playing the game because if they can keep it closed down and they can get more and more people onto that dole, and people are going to be happy with that, and they're going to be like, why not? This is easier. Why wouldn't I just do that and go along with it? But this is how they then create this dependence. And once they have everybody clamoring for dependence and begging for it and say, yeah, take my kids and put them in your daycare and give me my monthly stipend and give me a house to live in and food to eat, and like, that's cool. I'm going to take that. I'm going to move forward with that. Well, like, now we have you. Now we can say, like, okay, well, now put this microchip in you, or now put this app on your phone, and now get this vaccine, and now do this, and now put up with this, and we're going to have all these, like, fucking drones and shit flying over you or whatever, and you just put up with that because you want this money, right? Like, that's what this card is all about, as far as I can tell in this moment right now. We're being tempted into both this extreme duality and into this, and part of the way they're doing that is by offering us this, like, really easy route. Right? They just like grease the tracks and we just like slide down them right to where they want. Right? Where they want. So that's what I'm going to say this card was about. Chris Phoenix is in the house. What's up, Chris Phoenix? Nobody knows Hebrew. What a disappointment. It's okay. When I want to, I go look up the symbols and I get deeper into the card even than what I just did. But I don't often, go that deep. Costs extra. Chris is on the Jesus path. Whoop, whoop. Me too, Chris. Glad we're walking the path together. That Hebrew letter, Gordon says, is called ayin, and it's a silent letter, apparently. Excellent. I wonder what it represents. Bye-bye, Eerie Fairy. Have a happy birthday tomorrow. Chad says his awake friend gave his government money away. I respect him muchly. I respect him too. That's awesome. That is a good use of government money, man. Get it if you can and give it to who needs it. That's awesome. We have received nothing, Lori says, and I won't get any of that. Right, probably good. I hope. I mean, I hope you aren't in need, and if you are, we hopefully will take care of you. But seriously, man, I don't want to get on that trend. You know, we talked about in an episode a while ago the Nessara possible trap. You know, that they're weaving for us. If it's true, it's a really, really well put together trap. And this is already a really good, well put together trap. You know, take a problem that nobody can help being too critical of. You're like, do you want to end racism? Like, yeah. I mean, who doesn't, right? Like, very, very few people don't. And then how many people experience racism? Like, well, probably like half or more, because it's not just black people, it's like all people of color, right? So if you like put them all together, I think it's even more than half of our nation, at least the United States. It's at least close. So what, like half versus half, right? White people supposedly can't experience racism. So now you've got already like a perfect duality. You've got a lot of emotion tied up in it. There's like no one who's going to say like, no, racism has never happened and everybody's great. Like, clearly racism has happened a lot all through our history and still happens today, clearly. But it's interesting, right? Because so they take that. It's a really easy one to pick. It totally polarizes everyone, no matter what side you're on. It polarizes people just by its very nature of being divisive, right? Black and white, colored, not colored, or people of color, not people of color, whatever, and so like you already are falling into the division just to begin with, and then like no matter what your like nuanced thoughts on it might be, it just gets all fucking mucked up and crazy. I have people who I've been friends with for decades who are unfriending me because I just say I ask questions and I point things out that aren't like conveniently aligned perfectly with the adopted narrative that they've gotten from this whole prepackaged division that we've been handed. But something that no one wants to talk about is the Confederate flag. And obviously there's some racist aspects of that, culture in that time and that flag. And that's the thing that everyone thinks of first. And I was shocked myself to learn from people who aren't racist at all that there are other reasons that people fly that flag. I had no idea. I was ignorant to that. And so now I think, well, wow, other people must be ignorant to it too. And so why wouldn't I share that understanding with them? But even saying that out loud apparently makes me a white supremacist. I'm not even joking. Someone called me a white supremacist today because I pointed out that not everyone who appreciates the Confederate flag does so out of racism. They said I sound like a white supremacist. I am a white supremacist, and I sound like a racist, and that I sound ignorant, which was funny because I was actually like sharing something with them that they were ignorant of, but I somehow sound ignorant, and that oh, you don't even remember. But whatever, it was all ridiculous, so it doesn't really matter. And then they unfriended and blocked me, and I was like, oh, I guess bye? Oh, I was told that I don't listen to black people, to people of color, and that I have to listen to black people and people of color. And I'm like, I listen to a lot of people of color, like a lot. I mean, not just like, I obviously like have some friends and stuff, but I also like people of color who are media creators, content creators who I listen to as well. And, like I literally listen to people of color actually. But I was being accused of not listening to people of color. And I've had this accusation come up before, and it only ever comes up when there is a person of color I'm talking to who I disagree with. So I'm not allowed to disagree on any level with a person of color, because then I'm not listening to people of color, and I need to listen to people of color. And this is the same exact bullshit that came out with women when they were like, Me Too movement, believe all women. And I'm like, I don't believe all women. Like, that's just on its face is an absolute lie that anyone believes all women. Any random woman that comes up to you and says something, you're just going to believe them because they have tits and a vagina. Like, it's ridiculous. It doesn't even make sense. And it's just as ridiculous when you put a skin color to it, or a hair color, or a body shape, or a genitalia, like any of it. If you put any shallow aspect of being on that and say, believe all blank, actually it doesn't even have to be a shallow aspect of being. Believe all fill in the blank is just a blatant bullshit, no matter what the blank is filled with. So no, I'm a racist white supremacist apparently, which is fine. I guess that's like what they want to think, and that's where they're headed. Then that's, I don't want to really travel with them anyway. But it's just sad that, you can't even say facts. You can't even share ideas without just being like labeled like, well, that doesn't fit with my narrative, so get rid of it. Delete this person. Fuck them. They're a racist. It's like, wow, this is where we're at. It is very divide and conquer. It's very confusing. Good point, Gregory May. Did I say hi, Gregory May? Hi, Gregory May. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's like, that's a good point, how he says Black Tom matters. Like the Uncle Tom thing, if I do point out, a Black person who doesn't agree with this, because that whole like idea that all Black people are monolithically of one opinion is also ridiculous. And so if I'm like, well, what about like this? Or I'm listening to that Black person, right? That's not good enough. It's always, well, that's an Uncle Tom. That person hates themselves and their race. I'm like, how convenient for you that anybody doesn't agree with you is either a racist or an Uncle Tom. Like, that's just, you just get to dismiss anything you don't agree with. Like, that's very convenient, right? That's very devil card-ish, right? It's very conflicted, it's very polarized, and it is going to create all of that energy with which some mighty magician is going to use to create the reality they want instead of the one you want, because you couldn't think for a moment, you couldn't talk. It's like, why can't you, if your ideas and where you stand are so solid and sound, why can't you express them and have them challenged without strong emotion just ripping the whole experience to shreds and making it pointless? Right? You should be able to, I'm not always calm. I mean, I'm not like saying we all have to be saints, but in general, why is it always like, oh, you don't agree with me, here's this name I'm going to call you, and then I'm going to cut you out of my life permanently? Okay. Whatever. They call Candace Owen a white supremacist. Yeah. So if they call me a white supremacist, I'm in good company. Good point, Chris. I think she's got pretty cool ideas. All of Portland hates rogueways. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm positive that's true. There are some people in Portland who are not completely retarded, but Thomas Sowell is a very bright dude. I've been learning from that. I just heard about Thomas Sowell like today. There's another synchronicity. He seems like a cool guy. I also am a big fan of, who am I thinking of? I brought him up on the show last time. He makes really, really excellent videos about, not really anarchy, but at least libertarianism. Eric July. He's really rad. You can go check him out if you don't know him. I want to get him on the show. He almost responded once, and then I didn't see him again, So yeah, this has been a fun moment with you guys. Holy shit, how has this been an hour? I just swear to God, I get on and I'm like, I'll just do a few little things. It'll be like real quick, and then whatever, and then I talk to you for a fucking hour. But go back and read that poem again if you are into it. It's incredibly apt for the rest of the show and how things played out in its themes and ideas, and so maybe revisiting it again might be good. And so maybe you want to do that. It's definitely all about that Mandorla, man, that union between heaven and earth, and that very special place we occupy. But it's interesting, that double Mandorla. I think that's like the trap Mandorla. I think the general Mandorla, where it's just the Vesica and you occupy that space and it's unified, I think that's like the good place to be. I think when they have that sideways Mandorla inside the Mandorla that we saw in the and then it shut itself down. Can I copy this somehow and put it in the chat? I don't think I can. Anyway, that one, the double side one, that one might be like the trap where they're like trying to polarize us within the Mandorla so that we are not unified within it. I don't know. I'd have to think a lot deeper about that, but I like that this all came out of this reading of Gemini and the symbolism of Gemini. There was so much in that. It's so rich. So that book, if you guys are interested in it, where did I put it? It's by J.E. Surlott. And it's just called A Dictionary of Symbols. It's like a pre-dream dictionary that actually uses really like esoteric, occult, and academic content as well as writing style to elucidate all of these very common symbols. And like we just read with Gemini, it's like pretty heavy. It's pretty thick and weighty. And like, you know, we could probably visit that every day for a month and find something new within it. So it's a pretty cool book. I like it a lot. But anyway, I think I'm going to wrap things up. Hold up. Chris says, oh, I'm missing some of the chat. I posted Sowell stuff on Facebook before. That is funny. I don't pay attention to like half the shit. I mean, like I pay attention to the content and the message of what I'm posting, but I don't pay attention to like who wrote it or where it came from or like what the fuck is going on, because it's details, man. I can't hang on to details. I got the concepts and how they interconnect, and that's it. That's what I got. I'm the weaver, man. Chris says, did you know that Melania Trump demanded an exorcism for the White House before she would move into it? That's fucking amazing. I did not know that. That's rad. I want to know more about that. How do you know? Give us some sources, Chris. I'm not even doubting you. I just want to know more about it. I want to read all about it. That is wildly interesting. I agree, Chad. ODD. So you can battle. That is awesome. The digital apparition, if you didn't know, is the artist who does the songs at the beginning and the end of Rogue Ways and always has. And so all those lyrics and all those fucking awesome beats are his. And so he's saying to get ODD on so that he can battle him. You can both come on and we can have a live streamed why am I forgetting the words? Rap battle. Freestyle was what I was trying to say. I think she is playing to the Christians. She might actually be a Christian. She actually wears a cross all the time, which a lot of them wear inverted crosses, so it is interesting. The Mandorla effect. Michelle Mullen's going to email me about my scoliosis. Yeah, it's fucked up. I haven't been in so much pain lately. I've been eating a little better and doing a little better, and, you know, it's been good. It's still horrible, but it's better. And also President Trump held up an image of the Lady Fatima. Really? Really? And Fatima, of course, would be in a mandorla, like every time. I'm sure of it. So that is interesting. All right, folks, we'll bring it to a close. And until you have found the divisions and all of their extreme oppositions at the far polarized ends of things and brought them back together where they belong, unified within you, and held that space as an empty channel for the combination of heaven and earth in the mandorla that you occupy fully and with full presence of mind, travel well, aim for balance, and always look inside first.
Nasty motherfuckers with a hook and a sickle. Brought to you advertisement, bone plated nickel. Fire rate automatic smash from the get-go. Snack on the whack, fermented flesh disco. Abracadabra, archaic altars don't slabber. Hey, making jabbers with reality backwards. Hunting rap nerds, bodyguard collected actors. Munitions are famished, let them feast upon the dapper. Bloody bibs and muddy kicks, feasting on amygdala. Iron fist, tyrant shit, APO will rip you up. The rhyme rainmaker, vein style backbreaker. Genghis Khan depleted uranium satellite lasers. Cloaked in anonymity, I know you never heard of me. No rusted tools used for Crowley style surgery.
Dissect a whole set, God body. God taught me to dissect the whole body. When it gets sloppy, I'ma get there. Rhymes rare like steak, get crushed like Christ to create 52 states. And it's Baghdad, dust to towels, no rags. Straight milk dash, dust to ash. Turbans while the niggas perkin'. It's on purpose, my service touches the sun's surface. And rainbows touch serpents. My light all night shines so bright. I'm a star for eons, Hollywood's for peons. Cause they try to copy the same shit we on. Hey, I ain't done yet. Lungs depleted and can't breathe, can't believe it. Trying to seek it while trying to peep it. It's a secret. Now you're nobody. label somebody trying to claim John Gotti. It's yours truly.